Good morning, welcome to Furry and Spoilt. Um, I want to talk to you today about what happens when you ask me for help with your dog because he's got itchy skin. Lots of you do it through Instagram, DMs on Instagram, and I press the voice button, so I go back and forward with my voice. And some of you do that, and some of you actually type out the message. So whatever's easiest, it's working fine. But lots of you are doing it now. A little while ago, I did come on here and say I wasn't doing any more of it because I was getting so much abuse and hate. I decided I don't care. I want to help dogs. It's more important to me. And so I'm back to it. So I'm looking at my DMs now, and if you've messaged me, I've replied to you this morning, and I'm happy to help. And I just go backwards and forwards with you, and I ask you a series of questions. So I thought what I would do is I would come on here now and tell you I always go the same questions, always down the same route. And at some point there will always be a moment where the person will be, oh yeah, that's it. That's the problem. And most of the time that sorts the problem out really quickly. Sometimes it doesn't, and it takes a lot more investigation, but we always get there. And I never ever leave anybody with a dog that's still itchy. So if your dog is still itchy, then get back in contact. We'll get to the bottom of this. So I'm just going to go through now the route that I go down because it might save you time and not having to message me. So the first thing I will always ask is what you're feeding your dog. And if you need to send me a picture of the back of the packet of the dog food, and I will look at it and I will tell you if that's the problem or not. If you are feeding a dog food with grain or cereals or wheat, that is your problem. And over again, many of you will vouch for this. As soon as you got your dog off the cereals and the grains, back to happy dogs. And some of these dogs have been suffering terribly. Next is treats. What treats are you feeding them? Because when a dog first has hot spots, you have to get them off all grains and cereals, and that may be in treats or it may be human food, it might be anything, but you have to get them off the grains and the cereals. It's vitally important. Then the next thing I always ask is about tidbits and who is feeding the dog tidbits in the house. And again, this is so often the problem area, that somebody is feeding them little bits of toast, little bits of pasta, little bit of cereal, anything that's a grain or a cereal. The other thing to really be aware of is that it doesn't take much. The tiniest, and I do mean the tiniest, with my little Albert up here, he is why I know so much. I would class myself as an expert because I learnt so much. He has been completely clear now for 10 years. But a little while ago, we had some visitors staying and he had a flare up, and I could not work out why. It didn't make any sense. And it was because I was taking the people that were staying breakfast in bed. I do not do that often. They were special visitors. Um, and they were, and little Albert here was going and getting into bed with them, and they were feeding him toast. No, it was a wholemeal toast. It doesn't really matter with us. If we eat white toast, that's really bad for us. But like a wholemeal toast is good for us. But it doesn't work like that with dogs. It doesn't matter if it's white or brown, cereals, grains. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. Just him being fed this tiny little bit of toast was enough to cause a great big flare up. And I've talked to many of you who your food is fine, you're great on that, but it's your treats that are letting you down, and it's caused flare ups. And there was a video not so long ago about a dog that got really awful fungal infection from treats, and I talked all about that. And the person, the owner of the dog, provided me with pictures and wanted me to share, and I did, and it's all on there. So food has to be grain free. If you're not sure about whether it's grain free or not, send me a picture. I will tell you. If I've done a video on this, understanding what's in dog food, and I show you how to read the back of a packet. You're looking for composition, and you need to go into there, and I go through it in real detail with you. I'll put it up at the end. But if you're not sure, send me a picture, and I will look at for you and tell you yes or no. The other thing that causes flare ups, And no one really knows why. And, you know, I've researched this for years and years now. Nobody really knows why. Is whitefish. That is really bad. Albert, when he was going through his journey, whitefish was terrible. Beef is another thing. No one really knows why, but it does. So beef, whitefish, and then all the cereals and the grains. The other thing you really need to watch is potato, carrot, any sweet vegetable. Now at the moment, Albert can eat sweet potato and doesn't cause any issues at all. But if you've got a dog that's got hot spots and itchy skin, get them off that. So look at that, because you could be feeding them a good quality grain-free food, but it could be have a lot of sweet potato and carrot in it. So that's the other thing you need to be looking at. So that's the first way you need to go. That's the first things you need to be looking at. Now, some dogs will get hot spots and some won't. Like my little Albert here. No, not Albert. Harry here never had hot spots. We've got Humps over there. Came to our rescue. All sorts of conditions. Hot spots never been an issue. It's just my little Albert over there that's the problem. He's not the problem. He's my gorgeous boy. He's not a problem. But you know what I mean. Hot spots were a problem for him. So once you've gone down the road of looking at, is it something that you're feeding into the body? If that is not the problem, then before I move on, I do just want to say some dogs, and this isn't actually that many dogs. Out of all the dogs I help, it's not that many dogs. Some dogs have a problem with chicken and other kind of foods that you wouldn't think would be a problem for dog. So if after you have gone down every route, then that's kind of where you need to go back to, and you need to start cutting things out. Chicken, it always amazes me when dogs are allergic to chicken. And I just don't understand it. All I can think is it's something that the chickens are eating. Are the chickens eating grains, which I suppose they are, and is that causing the problem? But that's the road you go down at the end. So first you go down food, treats, make sure nobody in the family is feeding them tidbits. If they are, explain to them how miserable they are making your dog, and that it only takes the tiniest little bit. So once you've gone down that road, then so you're either going down the road of what you are putting into the dog. If that isn't the problem, and it isn't always, it can be something on the outside. So right now, springtime is a terrible time for hay fever, but in some dogs that goes further and it actually causes hot spots. And so it just goes further than general hay fever, some sneezing and some itching, and goes further and becomes actual hot spots. And they're not just allergic to pollen or stuff in the autumn, they're just allergic to like stuff, everything's dust. They're just very, very sensitive to everything. And so if that's the case, then you need to go down the route of, actually, if that is the case, you do still need to go down the route of treating them as if they've got hay fever. The video before last, I went through all of that about pollen and hay fever. So you need to be looking at Piriton. So 8 milligrams for a day for a 10 kilogram dog, but split into 2 tablets. Only Piriton. It's human grade Piriton. The only hay fever tablet you can use. The others are toxic. You mustn't use them. So go down that route, wiping them down after walks, keeping your house nice and clean, having blankets on the sofas. I've just got these blankets. I just wash them once a week. Keeps pollen low. So you want to keep the pollen and the dust and all the stuff that is causing them problems. If they are having problems like that with dust and just pollen and outside life, you also need to get them off the grain-free food. Because even though that by itself, even though that is not causing the problem, grains go into the body. They turn to sugar. That sugar causes inflammation, and that is why dogs have itching and fungus infection, because it's inflamed and it's feeding it. And so even if your dog actually is having a problem with pollen and getting allergies from outside life, you still need to get them onto a grain-free food, because that will bring down the inflammation and that will really help. And that's it really. It's quite straightforward. It's either being caused by something that's going into the dog, or it's caused by something on the outside. I personally think it's harder to deal with dogs that have got allergies to the outside world, because it's everywhere and it's so much harder to keep them away from it. But dogs that are allergy have got a problem with wheat, which is so many dogs. Dogs are not meant to eat wheat and cereal and stuff. Um, they're just not meant to, and that's how it's coming out now. It's more, it's in dog food more and more. So you need to find a grain-free dog food. So the ones I personally at the moment sometimes I use and I'm happy with and I recommend are Barking Heads. They do it's 85% of either the meat or the fish, and then 15% vegetables and herbs. Another one, and it's a wet food, and another one is Harrington's that I like as well. That's 65% of the actual meat, and then the rest is meat, vegetables and herbs. I'm going to put the video up at the end in a minute just about understanding what's in dog food ingredients, because it's really, really important that you do. Because I think some of you, well, I know a lot of you have been quite shocked when you've looked at the back of your packet and you've realised that actually it's mainly just cereals and wheat and the tiniest little amount of meat in it. And as soon as you've changed that, it's been really good. Other thing to mention is that when you do change a dog off it, don't change it fast. So keep feeding them the old dog food, and then just add a little bit and a little bit and a little bit every day of the new dog food until you get to it. So I personally like to, a week or 2 weeks, go really slow. Now what will happen is that the dogs have to detoxify from the wheats and the cereal, and so your hotspots and that might actually get worse before they get better, because all of the sugar in their body has got to come out and they have to detox from that. So you need to go really slowly so that doesn't happen. So if you notice that your hotspots are getting worse, you've just gone too fast. So just back up a bit and go slowly. If it takes more than 2 weeks, it takes more than 2 weeks, but you need to go slow enough so that things don't get worse. So that is a very, very common thing. I see that all the time. I saw it with Albert. I went too fast and caused that to happen. So that is generally it. But you're more than welcome to contact me, and I'm more than happy to help. But I just thought if I just told you the route that because it's the same route, it's been the same route for 10 years, that might just help you if, for whatever reason you don't want to contact me or anything. But if you do want to contact me, then it's on Instagram, Furry and Spoilt, and it's in the DMs. So just DM me. Remember the time zone. I'm in the UK, so I might not get it. And obviously, I might have other stuff to do, but I will get to you. It's incredibly important to me that I can help a dog get happier, because hot spots and itchiness make a dog's life utterly miserable. They really do. And I'm more than happy to get help and get this sorted so that your dog isn't suffering anymore. So that's all that. So thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye.